Hey everyone, so today we've got some new manufacturers at the expo, and today we have Crusader, MISC, and Tumbril, and there's been a lot of new ships from Crusader and a new vehicle from Tumbril, so hopefully they'll let us try those out today for free. Alright, so I think this is the best view we've had so far all expo, and it's going to be a hard one to top. So we've got all the star lifters and the new tanks, and if you want to see what the overall layout is, this is what it is. So it looks like we have some of the auxiliary halls open, and there's also a couple of holos available to look at downstairs. But yeah, it's cool to see the A2, even though it's not technically out yet. But I guess the only reason that it's not out yet is because they're probably working on finishing up those Moabs and getting it so that you're able to drop those. Because that's one of the main roles of that ship, causing massive damage to ground-based targets. Alright, so starting off on the left over here, we have the M2. So this is the slightly more heavily armored transport out of the series of starlifters. It shares a lot in common with the C2, but yeah, again, it has that heavier armor and that nose turret that we just passed a bit earlier. And it looks like you'll be able to rent these, which is pretty cool since they just came out. So if you haven't had a chance to fly them yet, then they're a lot of fun, and they've handled pretty well for big ships, and in a straight line they go super fast. So if you're gonna log on for one of the days, I'd definitely recommend today. Now in the middle here, we have two Nova tanks, and it looks like you can rent these as well. So these aren't too useful right now, just like most ground vehicles, just because there's not that many missions where you can take advantage of their heavy firepower. But at some point these will be very useful, and the size 5 cannon that they have is very deadly, in addition to some size 2s on top and some missile racks. And for a tank, they're quite large on the interior as well, so that's pretty cool to check out too. Now behind these tanks we have the A2, and you can see it's currently closed up and there's no way to rent it or anything. And this is because it's still in development, but we get a chance to look at what it looks like and where some of those other turrets might be located, as well as some of the bomb drop chutes possibly. But yeah, these two turrets here, this one, are not found on the other models. I believe this weapon is only found on this model, although I don't know that this is supposed to be here. It looks a little out of place. But yeah, this one is not flyable yet. I do love the black and red paint job on it though. I don't think it's worth the price out of game, but it's definitely a very cool ship. Okay, and then over on the right here, we have the C2. So the C2 is pretty much just a transport, but it's still pretty well armored and has quite a bit of shielding. And it also has the highest cargo capacity out of the whole lineup. So a little bit less military focused than the other ones, but still a very solid ship. And it has a kitchen. Alright, now the entrances to these auxiliary halls are in a bit of a different place than they have been, but there's one on each side just like there has been for the past couple of days. Alright, so in this room we have a couple of Star Runners, so this is the rest of Crusader's currently flyable lineup, as well as some of the vehicles from Tumbril. So yeah, besides the heavily militarized tank, Tumbril also produces a variety of these rovers called the Cyclone, so we've got a few of the variants here. So the MT is actually this first one up on the left here. It has the same sort of missile capabilities as the AA, as well as a size 1 on this turret up there. It's the newest addition to the Cyclone lineup, and you can see someone's actually manning the turret there. It's arguably one of the better ones since it has that weapon as well as the missiles, but you do require someone in the turret to operate either, whereas in the AA, which we'll talk about in a second, you can fire those missiles from the pilot seat. So the AA, you can actually see in the back here, it doesn't have the large turret of the MT, but it has space for 2 size 2 missiles, and just like all the other Tumbrils, it's a very fast vehicle, and they're pretty compact and can fit in a variety of ships. And then next to the AA over there, we have the TR, and that stands for turret. And as you can see, it's got space for 1 size 1 weapon up there, and it's got a similar turret set up to the MT where an operator will stand up there and you can drive around with them in it. So this one actually has space for 3 people, just like the MT. Now there is also a base Cyclone with cargo space, but that one doesn't appear to be here. And then lastly we have the RN, which is the reconnaissance version, and you can see it has the standard 2 seats and wheels and everything, but instead of any sort of turret or storage, it has what looks to be some sort of sensor dish on the back here, and that will help it fulfill its reconnaissance role. And then here, like I mentioned a second ago, we have the Star Runner. So this is the first Crusader ship that was added into the game, and it's a medium-sized data running and cargo hauling ship. It also has space for a vehicle if you want to give up some of that cargo space. It's not the best in terms of combat capability, but it's very fast for its size, which is a theme among the Crusader ships. So yeah, on this one in the rear, you can see that scanning dish open. So that's going to be useful when you're using it for data running. And then inside the ship, there's a ton of server racks, which will probably be used for storing whatever data you collect or are transporting from place to place, and then you can see that pretty sizable cargo bay. And then off to the right, there's the not so secret vent system that runs along almost the entire bottom of the interior of the ship and connects to the various different rooms. There's some fun ways to open the access points into that vent system though throughout the ship, so if you haven't taken a look at the interior of the Starrunner, it's pretty fun and you can try to figure out how you open those up, or there's plenty of videos on YouTube that'll show you where they are. Alright, and then heading over to the left auxiliary hall, we're finally going to see some ships from MISC. MISC doesn't have a ton of military focused ships, so there's a pretty small showing from them here, but they've got this whole room dedicated to them. So here we have a sort of starter class ship. It's the Reliant Tana. It's a variant of the Reliant series, and it actually has quite a surprising amount of firepower, especially for its size. And it's very interesting in that these wings swivel to a vertical position when it's in flight, and you can also see that the engines swivel to this VTOL mode. So yeah, very interesting design. And then you can see it's got quite a bit of amenities on the interior for its size again. So 2 bunks, since you can have a co-pilot to take over those turrets on the ends of the wings, as well as a decently well-equipped restroom area, and some component access. It does have a very nice cockpit view though as well. Now here we have the Razor EX, so I believe this is a stealth and surveillance variant of the racing ship, the Razor, but I've heard that the variants of the Razor have been having some issues lately in their flight model since they haven't received some of the tuning that the base Razor has. So if you do check this one out and it feels a little sluggish, even though it's supposed to be a very fast ship, that could be why, but I personally haven't tried it out in a little while. But yeah, I guess it's supposed to be a very small and hard to detect ship that could be useful in some sort of surveillance operation. And then over here we have a variant of the Freelancer series. This is the Freelancer MIS. It carries a ton of missiles and it has a very good stock loadout of components. And it also has this pretty cool looking green paint job. But yeah, at the top you can see these missile racks, and on the interior there's a system to replenish them as you go through those missiles. I believe this thing carries somewhere near 40 missiles. I'm not sure on the exact number. Then you can also see the Gatlings that come in the stock configuration. So yeah, if you want a slightly bigger ship that's a lot of fun to take on some combat missions, this one is a good bet. Alright, and then over here we have another very large ship. So this is the Starfarer Gemini. It's one of the older large ships in Star Citizen. So its interior layout isn't the best. It's a bit of a maze in there, but it can be fun trying to find your way around the various corridors, small elevators, ladders, and stairways. And it's fairly well defended, with actually decent turrets. I believe the top one has dual size 5s, so if you want something to bring out with a couple of friends that has decent weaponry and is a bit unconventional, you can try this ship. And at some point, hopefully soon, this will be useful in refueling gameplay, and you can see the massive fuel capacity that it will have once these tanks are operational. It also has a reasonably sizable cargo bay with a ton of drop seats. So it's an often overlooked ship, but especially with the refueling coming online, these could be pretty useful to have around in the verse. Alright, now we're going to head downstairs to check out those holo models. There's another display of the Nova tank down here, and another display of all the Cyclones, again missing that base variant. And then here we have an interesting upcoming ship from Crusader, and this should actually be here by the end of the year. And I believe actually on a recent live stream it was said that these are on schedule for being here by the end of the year. So this is a smaller ship from Crusader, even smaller than the Starrunner. You can see it shares a lot of the design elements of the Starrunner, but what's not small about this ship is its main weapon, and I believe its only weapon, which is either going to be a size 7 laser repeater for the Ion or a size 7 Gatling for the Inferno. This is the Ares Starfighter Inferno, which again I believe is that Gatling variant. The guns can't be swapped out on them because they're so integrated in the ship is the reasoning, but it definitely will be interesting to see such a large weapon in a relatively small ship, because again, remember, size 7 weapons are what the Perseus uses, and it's a 100-meter long ship, and this should be smaller than a Vanguard. And then over here we have another vehicle from Tumbril. We haven't heard about these in a little while, but these are supposed to be motorcycles, and they'll actually be the first motorcycles in Star Citizen. But these are long awaited for because they're pretty compact for a ground vehicle. I believe they're the most compact ground vehicle. I can't think of anything else that's smaller than this, but they're still somewhat well equipped with this weaponry on the side, and if they're anything else like the other Tumbril vehicles, they'll be quite fast. Alright, so that's all I have for this video, but I figure if you're still here at this point, you'll be interested in hearing that I'm going to be appearing as a guest on another Star Citizen content creator stream this Thursday. So the channel is Carolinger. I'll have his Twitch linked below, but he's been collaborating with a bunch of other Star Citizen content creators. But I'll specifically be on his stream on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, or I believe that's 6 p.m. UTC. So yeah, if you want to check that out, I've got it linked in the description below, and it should be a lot of fun. And I also want to give a special thanks to my members, The Pear Effect, Starlit Domina, and Great Watch 93. Thank you so much for being a member and supporting the channel. And if you guys want to support me, you can help me out by leaving a like and or subscribing. Or if you really want to support the channel, you can become a member, and I'd really appreciate that. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed checking out some of these ships, and thanks for watching.